Hey guys, welcome to Priceless B Movies. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of irritated when it comes to dreams. They always seem to end kind of abruptly, or there's always an alarm or something that always wakes me up right when it's getting really good and right when I'm like, oh yeah, well man, that dream just kind of went right past me and, I didn't really even get to enjoy it. But isn't it weird that that's the way it always is with good dreams, but when you're having a nightmare, it seems to go on forever and you can't wake up when you want to God, doesn't it just drive you crazy? The Cell. The Cell stars Jennifer Lopez as a social worker. I'm just kidding. She actually is pretty good in this movie. And she works with a couple of scientists. There's this program that they're trying to utilize and make commonplace where she is able to use this overly complex device to enter the psyche, the subconscious of comatose patients so that she can befriend them and so she can help them find their way to the light, so to speak, and hopefully bring them out of their coma. I love sci-fi flicks that start like this, by the way. It does get a little annoying when it's like, oh, this person's cryogenically frozen and they're brought out in the future and then all this happens. Or, oh, it's a space shuttle shot into space and then this happens. Or, where it always kind of begins with a cliche. The Cell does not begin with a cliche. I think that if a device and a procedure like this actually existed, it would be amazing. I don't think that anything like this will happen in our lifetime, but this is a good idea. It's a sound idea to base a sci-fi thriller off of. One day, J-Lo is approached by Vince Vaughn. He's an FBI agent, and he has captured this serial killer. And the serial killer is a schizophrenic and in a coma that he might never wake up from. When you think of a serial killer being in a coma and that they may never wake up from, and you think, oh, well, they may as well be dead. Like, well, what's so horrible about that? It's a serial killer. Who cares? This is a problem because this killer has one more victim, and he has this victim still alive in this contraption somewhere in the country that will slowly kill her over the course of several hours. And Vince Vaughn is hoping to convince J-Lo to use this device to go into the serial killer's subconscious, confront him, and try to figure out where he has this last victim hidden. Here's the thing, though, about the way they present the subconscious of different characters in this film. Early on, you see a sequence where J-Lo is having one of her sessions with this 12-year-old boy, as I mentioned earlier, and it's this desert landscape and she's wearing this gorgeous dress and just everything about it is so picturesque and beautiful because that's the mind of a child. That's the mind of something that has not been corrupted. It's the mind of someone who wants help and is reaching out to this woman. But once she gets inside the serial killer's head, as you can imagine, it's a whole different landscape. This is a true nightmare world, and while it's really visually impressive to look at, it's also very fraught with danger and very nightmarish. This will be one of the very few times that I say Jennifer Lopez is really good in something. There's like this and Selena, she's amazing. Like award worthy, I think. Other movies she's in, I think she ranges from mediocre to, oh well, she was nice in that. But in this film in Selena, I think she's really good. Vince Vaughn, I think, is a little miscast. Just after that whole debacle with the Psycho remake, I've always had an issue taking Vince Vaughn seriously in a movie that wasn't a comedy. I think he's great in comedies. I think he's okay in this. He carries his part well enough, and thank God that the plot doesn't really need him to be a terrific actor. But I think among the actors in this film, he is the weak link. But if we want to talk about great performances in this movie, invisible hat off to Vincent D'Onofrio, the unquestioned lord and master of freaking nuts. Vincent D'Onofrio plays the killer in this, but once Jennifer Lopez is in his subconscious and trying to interact with him, D'Onofrio gets the chance to do what some actors only dream of, which is he gets to play every aspect of this character's personality in different forms. He shows up in at least 7 different forms in this character's subconscious, and he is flawless. He makes you really afraid of this guy, and then 5 seconds later, you feel so bad for him. Then 10 seconds later, you want him dead. Then 17 seconds later, you really feel sorry for him. Then 25 seconds later, you're like, will you just shoot this fucker? He's messing with my emotions, man. There's actually a sequence in this. When I first saw it, I was younger. I was about 13 years old, and there's a sequence in this that really bothered me the first time I watched it, and it's a torture scene that takes place in the killer's mind where he straps a character down, cuts his stomach open, and reels the guy's intestines out on a rotisserie that works as a music box. So he's like turning this rotisserie, pulling the guy's intestines out while humming this little cutesy melody that's coming out of the... Creeped me out big time when I was little, and it still bugs me every time I watch it because it's just such a weird thing. And this movie is full of weird scenes like that. If you have a weak stomach or heart, this is not the movie for you. But if you love like Silence of the Lambs and thrillers where, you know, the hero has to work with or get advice from a villain, this is a great example of one of those films. I think The Cell is a nearly flawless film. Eventually, in about a decade later, this film was given a direct-to-video sequel called The Cell 2. You know what? That's not true at all. The Cell 2 never happened. It never happened. Thing is about The Cell, when it came out, it was in the summer of 2000 where we had movies like the first X-Men, Titan AE, The Hollow Man. There were a lot of movies that overshadowed this film in terms of marketing and in terms of what kind of audience it could get. Also, a lot of critics kind of shat on it, other than Roger Ebert, who gave it a 4-star review. Because they, I guess that a lot of people were sick of these serial killer movies and didn't really take into account the brilliance of this film. Not only how smart it is, but how gorgeous it is. Visually speaking, there is no movie like The Cell. You really just have to see it. Even if you watch it and think, man, I hated that plot or that character was so stupid, I guarantee you will admire the look and feel of this film because it's like nothing you've ever seen before. I'm gonna give The Cell 4 stars. This is a perfect film to me. Of all the times I've seen The Cell, I have not found any part of it that I really have issue with. This is a genuinely scary and genuinely brilliant movie, and I really hope that whoever you are watching this, that you've either seen this movie already or that you're right on your way to the video store or Netflix or whatever convenience you use to watch films to check this out. That's my review of The Cell. Stay tuned. I got a lot more reviews coming. Also, and as always, if there's a movie that you can think of that's either underappreciated or overlooked by mainstream audiences or critics or both, and you'd like to know what I think about it, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see what I can do about tracking down a copy of that movie and putting up a review for you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Priceless B movies.